that you want to have with that longer end of the wire. And once you have it where you want it, you could just cut off the rest, and boom, that little bit is already in place where you want it to be. So same concept here. You got more wire, and here we're going to be using the long nose um, toothed pliers. And so since these have teeth, they're going to sink right into wherever we set them. So we want to be very careful about where we set these pliers, and that they're very accurate. And once you squeeze them, they're going to make this swirl here into a swirl, and not make it into a right angle or whatever. So I guess it's just kind of takes practice to get a good sense of how to you know squeeze these flat pliers to make a round swirl. But you'll get the hang of it, especially once the wire's already in sort of a swirl. Um, when you squeeze here, you'll see it's sort of bending into this swirl. Now it's a bit rough. It is a bit of a rough swirl because it's not using it's not by hand, or it's not by the round nose pliers. But that's okay because you can go in again and round it out by pressing this way. So now you got that. Pressing there. And now it's a pretty round swirl. Let's look at it from the front. And it's still not exactly where we want it. At the bottom, it's still kind of off. Wire hanging off. So we just got to close that loop, close that spiral by making it smaller. So we're going to keep on, you know, squeezing here little by little. It's putting marks on the wire because we're using the pliers with the tooths, but we can clean that up later on once we get into polishing. So right here, just continually squeezing on that swirl and closing it up. And here we have it, smaller. That's not really, I kind of want it a little bit bigger, that little swirl at the bottom. So I'm going to bring my flat nose pliers back in and hold this bottom part in place. Whenever you only want to move one part of the wire, and the wire is still a part of the larger wire, you always want to secure everything besides that one piece you want to move. Otherwise, everything else is going to move because it's all connected. So when you secure, or in order to secure that wire um, from the part that you want to move, you hold it to the crystal. The crystal is like the mountain range, everything's leaning up against. And now to make that spiral slightly bigger, I'm just going to reverse what these pliers did. So I'm going to push this sort of spiral back out slightly. And it's kind of the size I want it to be at, but it's sort of angled downward. So I'm going to get these pliers in there, sort of squeeze this part together a little bit so that it brings the bottom part up more. And with this kind of design, you can kind of adjust the swirls, by kind of going like this, making them aligned or making them more kind of diagonal, whatever you like. Um, and that bottom part is still not really pleasing me, so I'm going to close it back up again. Or I guess decrease the radius of the bottom swirl. Open it up a little bit more again. Alright, so that's kind of where I want it. And I'm going to cut the wire, closer to the swirl now. And here's what we got. And now there's sort of a wire sticking out at the bottom, although very slightly. And to tuck that in, you're just going to use these pliers again because it's a very small radius. No other pliers can really tuck 10 gauge wire at such a small radius into itself. So you want to have these big, thick, flat nose or what do you call them? Long nose pliers with teeth in them. So now, once you got the angle ready, and you can kind of sort of line it up where it's like, okay, I want this part to go in here. So I line it up so that one part of the pliers are at the top right, where I want the swirl to bend from, and the other part is right opposite that to support the pressure coming from the top of the pliers. So once I squeeze, it's going to close up. There. So there you have a simple copper pendant. It is I guess a little bit different from the usual I'd make, because usually I'd sort of tuck this copper all the way in there. But for this particular piece, I like the way it is. I like the way it kind of sticks out and gives it that that sharpness that accentuates the point of the bottom of the crystal. And this is sharp right now, but after it's polished, you can, file that down a little bit and make it so that it's not sharp anymore. So there we have that one. And this one's going to take a lot less time since I've already explained a lot of the ideas behind this one. So this one it's going to be thicker, wider, not as long, more sort of a bit of a flat design. And same thing. Just going to cut another, say 2-3 feet, more like 3 feet of 10 gauge copper wire. Same thing, start off with the seat of the crystal, twirl it into a swirl, nice and smooth. Stick the crystal in there. Is it gonna fit? It's too loose. Make it smaller. And it is just gonna fit perfectly now after slightly enlarging the circle. And there we go. Now it's in there. And same thing as before. I'm going to secure it from the center first. Right? Make sure every part of it is secured while I am, bringing this down here to wrap it, hug it to the crystal. So securing with my right hand, pulling it down. My left hand, securing everything with my index fingers and my thumbs. Wrapping it around the crystal. Now it's starting to go towards the top. We're going to go towards the bottom now, securing with the left hand and wrapping around with the right hand. Making sure everything's super tight. And for this particular piece, um, looks like we might have a little bit of trouble if we just kind of try to cut off the bottom part first and then secure the top, because the top is flat. It's not really a jagged piece, um, so it could have some problems sort of trying to slide out if we cut the bottom first. So I'd like to secure the top just a little bit and then go back to the bottom and then go back up to the top. So at the top, we're going to keep swirling with the left hand. Um, and since this has like a sort of wide open face at the top, um, you don't want to just kind of do a quick swirl up and then go into a veil, because there's a lot of sort of surface area you have to secure here. So to secure that surface area, it's good to have a swirl or two or even three on top of it, so that there's that tension of the copper on top of it.